A reading from the Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to St. John. As he passed by, Jesus saw a man blind from his birth, and his disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "It was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be made manifest in him. We must work the works of him who sent me, while it is day. Night comes when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." As he said this, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle and anointed the man's eyes with the clay, saying to him, "Go, wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. The neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar said, Is not this the man who used to sit and beg?" Some said, "It is he." Others said, "No, but he is like him." He said, "I am the man." They said to him, "Then how are your eyes opened?" He answered, "The man called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes and said to me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' So I went and washed and received my sight." They said to him, "Where is he?" He said, "I do not know." Look, it's possible when there's a debate about something, it's possible to be sort of right essentially about your main point, but for the person that you're arguing with to also have a point too. Even somebody who ends up being wrong, there might be something legitimate, some part of what they're saying that's okay, that's right. There's no harm in admitting that. Even in this debate between Jesus and the Pharisees about the Sabbath day, because after this miracle happens, there becomes this sort of debate about whether it's okay that Jesus healed on the Sabbath, because all this took place on Saturday. And so they have a point. They were wrong essentially in the end, but it's a valid question. Why is Jesus allowed to break the Sabbath law? You're not allowed to do work on the Sabbath, and Jesus did that. He made that he spat on the ground, he mixed it with his hands, he made that clay, he put it on the man's eye. That's a sort of work. So, all right, it's a legitimate question. Why is Jesus allowed to do that? That seems like it's against the sort of religious rules. Well, I think the answer is that Jesus seems to imply in the way he discusses it, there's work and then there's work. The kind of work that is forbidden on the Sabbath is work for profit that is ultimately sort of draining or emptying of the human heart. That's the thing that's forbidden. And not just that, of course, it's also forbidden to cause somebody else or force somebody else to work in that way. That's the way the Jewish law was written. In fact, the way that the sort of law is phrased, it really shows at the end of the law. I'm going to read you where the Sabbath law is originally from. And it says, at the end, you must not work on the Sabbath. You have 6 days for work. On the seventh, it's the day to the Lord your God. And then it says, not you, your son or daughter, your servants, even the animals get to rest on the Sabbath day. Why, though? The law continues, you shall remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt. So the Sabbath is really targeted not just for you as an individual to rest, but to remember anybody that works for you, any of your employees, they deserve to rest as well. And you remember you were once a servant too, not you personally, but the people that were your forefathers. So that's the point of the Sabbath. What is Jesus doing, though? Is he breaking that law by healing somebody? That's not human work. And so the way Jesus phrases it, no. So when they ask him this very stupid question, who sinned, this man or his parents? He just, no, not him, not his parents. The works of God might be made manifest in him. We must work the works of him who sent me. Jesus knows that he's going to be perceived as breaking the Sabbath. And he gets right in their face. And he says, I am doing work right now. But not human work. The work of God. There's work and there's work. What is the work of God? Well, it's not for profit. It's not like this guy's going to go pay Jesus later. But it's also not draining or tiring. It's life-giving. Look at the blindness. I'm going to kind of use the metaphor that John provides here. The blindness. Who sinned, this man or his parents? You need to be a blind person to look at the world in that way. To look around and see a tragic thing that happened. And instead of helping this guy, I'm gonna sort of look for some sinner. I'm going to keep my eyes out for what everybody else is doing wrong. What a miserable way to live. And then afterwards, he broke the Sabbath. Let's look for a way to accuse him and to condemn him. What a miserable, blind way to live life. Rather than the work of God, which restores this vision, I'm not going to look and see everybody else's faults and try to find everybody else's faults, probably to make myself feel better for mine. No. I'm going to look at the world and I'm going to see God's creation because God is there in my heart. And because God is there in my heart, what I'm going to see when I look out into the world is maybe there's something I can do to help. Maybe there's somebody who needs me right now. And that kind of attitude, to have that kind of vision, is to see the world with God in your heart. And yet, this man was born blind. We are born selfish and sort of narcissistic. We are born in this way that we see this world in this kind of really ugly, rotten way. And we need Christ to touch our hearts. There's no other way out of it. We need Christ to touch our hearts in order for the blindness that we were born with to be taken away. And so the sacraments are exactly this. Christ in the flesh, using something in the world, bread and wine, the water and baptism, placing it on our bodies and our eyes into our mouths, so that our hearts and our eyes can be healed and we can see the world as Christ sees the world.